Welcome to Showbiz Chicago, the podcast, part 3 of Scrooge and Marley. And I have Marley here himself.
The ghost of Marley.
The ghost of Marley.
Yes,
chained,
there's a difference, yeah, the dead
chained
one.
and bound,
Yes.
and very S&M.
Yeah.
Really.
Dick Uvari, when we were shooting it, we didn't have enough plastic chains, so he went to the basement and he had all these real chains and brought them up.
That's scary.
I had about 120 pounds of chains on me, and it looked great, but by the end of the day, I'd shrunk about 2 inches. This stuff is heavy, oh man.
And of course, I'm with the great Tim Kazurinsky, who is killing it right now as Felix Unger in The Odd Couple at North Lake Theater. And congratulations on the reviews. And boy, when they say the show must go on, that show went on, didn't it?
Oh boy, it's been a roller coaster ride. I'm a little too old for these kind of roller coaster rides. With George, George went having heart trouble, and he actually had double bypass surgery the night of our first preview.
I know.
And Mark Crapey, who was playing Murray the cop, stood in for George and is doing a fantastic job as Oscar. So
And you're selling out every night.
every night, so and
The critics have loved it, loved your performance, saying it's
they've
one
been
of the most
very
cheap.
kind. I'm going to have to go wash people's cars and mow their lawns and stuff. And,
Absolutely. Clean the condos out here.
Yeah, whatever I can do.
Patty LuPone does that after some critical reviews. They make her do housework,
Well, I can do it. I'm very good at cleaning. I can.
So before we talk about that, I do want to talk about this great film, Scrooge and Marley.
Yes.
You play the dead, chained Marley.
The ghost of Marley.
And yes, who has to repent and, to get rid of his chains, has to show
save-
Mr. Scrooge.
Save Scrooge's soul, or have Scrooge save his own soul. Yes.
So how does this version differ from the other Dickens versions?
I don't think it does. I think it cleaves very closely to the original, and it's a very it's a really heartwarming tale. I think it's got a lot more humor. I mean, it's funnier. There's a lot of inside jokes and outside jokes.
There is.
Yeah, there's Latin. Then there's music and some cabaret.
The music is phenomenal.
Yeah,
It stands on its own outside of the movie. Really,
Yeah.
I was telling Tracy.
Yeah, so but it's a timeless tale, and it's really well told here with for this particular audience, and I'm hoping that it's a crossover hit that it works for everybody.
And I think so. And what I liked about it, though, Tim, is that these characters really have a backstory that you never get from like the classic versions of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like you really find out why Scrooge is the way he is,
Yeah.
and there's truth behind his actions. Just his father throwing him out. His sister dying, and all this.
Right.
Just
There's
like,
a reason he's a vengeful and bitter man. And,
right.
Just sometimes, a mirror has to be held up to people so that they can clearly see what they've become, and that's what this does.
So how did you get this project?
Well, actually, it was I knew Richard Knight and Ellen Stone King. We'd done stuff at the Annoyance Theater. And so then Richard sent me the script, and I said it's lovely, and I would love to, but I'm doing Hairspray out at Drury Lane. I'm doing 8 shows a week, and he came back and said we will work around that. We can we will manage to. And I'm going. This is crazy because I got matinees and I got everything, but they managed to do it and get me in, and I was really pleased that I was able to be a part of it.
So as an actor, Tim, I forgot you were doing Hairspray at that point when this was shooting. So, theater and film, 2 different mediums. Theater, you have to be so big, and then film, it's very focused. Mm-hmm. How were you able to do that switch so quickly and come down like off a performance like Hairspray and be so small for the camera?
Yeah, well, at that point you rely on the director to say, is it too big? Am I being too big? Am I being too small? And this Scrooge Marley had a tight schedule anyway.
I heard 12
and
days.
It was,
right?
12 days, and it was like, okay, before we go into this, let's tell me how big do you want it? Let's do a trial run here without the cameras. Tell me, is this too big? Is this too loud? Is this too loud? Am I gesticulating too much? And let's get it right because we want to do it in 1 or 2 takes. to save time, to save money, and to get me back out to the matinee.
That's right. Because Kyle DeSantis would be pissed.
He would, and I remember once we had to finish shooting at the bathhouse or whatever we were
Man's
doing,
Country.
the Man's Country thing, and it ran long, and they couldn't have it for another day, and he had to get it done, and it was over, and I'm going, my call is I got to be, and they can't set up again. I said, all right, we're going to do 10 more minutes, and blah, blah, blah. And I literally got out there about 10 minutes before the show began. It's like 20 minutes after my call. And
Wow.
I'm in the Scrooge makeup, and I'm walking in, and the stage manager's like, oh my God, what is happening? And I said, just get me to a shower. And trying to get this rubberized makeup off, which was melting, it was insane.
It was a great makeup job,
Yeah,
by the way.
it was a great makeup job. And yeah, but
And
I
the special
barely.
effects.
But I get in the hot shower, it all started leaking down, and I got plastic all over my body and my leg hairs, and I'm going, oh God. But I did make it on stage in time. It was scary, but made it.
So you've been seeing audience reaction. You've been doing, talkbacks and things with the film.
Yeah.
How has the audience reaction been? And have you seen it, like, with the audience going through it?
No. This is my first time, and it's
Oh,
on.
it's
I have two friends
fantastic.
in, and they're watching it, and so I've not, because I've been doing Odd Couple,
Odd
so
Couple.
I haven't been to any of the screenings. This is my first one.
Wow.
And I'm out here in the lobby talking to you.
Yes, you are. Well, let me tell
But
you
it's
from
fine.
experience, Tim, that the audience, because I saw it yesterday, and first of all, the audiences have been huge
Oh, that's
and
great.
very supportive. And the end is very emotional. I mean, everybody
Yeah.
kind of knows how it ends, but here, the acting here is just, on par with any great movie version of this.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
David
yes.
does. Everybody is really terrific, and they're
Yes.
all, they all step up, and it's really. I've seen it, but because Tracy got me a DVD, so I saw it at home with my wife, but I've not seen it with a live audience, so it's really a treat to
Yeah,
be able to watch
it's amazing the way people connect with this. Just the way they connect with Goodman's production, or, the Muppets did a great,
Yeah.
production. I mean, it's just that core message of redemption, I think, that we're all looking for.
Yeah, and it's a great, it's a classic tale told with a new spin.
Yeah.
And it just, it reinvigorates the play.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, speaking of reinvigoration, your career is just remarkable. And you're a constantly working actor.
It's ridiculous, yes. And I've just, after taking like 25 years off,
I know.
to come back and, I've been screenwriting for the longest time, so to come back and get all this wonderful stage work, I am blessed. And because I'm no spring chicken. I'm lucky, and I'm glad to be, I got Midsummer Night's Dream this year, and
Yep.
Hairspray, and,
Odd Couple. And this, I know.
It's Charles Dickens, William Shakespeare, and John Waters.
Yeah, I know.
Like, there's a trio.
I know.
You don't see them together much, but
So how have you seen this business change? The ups and the downs, and the goods and the bad.
well, I guess I've led a charmed life. I've been extremely fortunate and lucky, and I guess been in the right place at the right time, or met the right people. I've had pretty wonderful experiences, and as the sort of the film, after screenwriting for so long, it's that end of the business is evaporating for me because I'm in the Midwest. I'm not out in LA, and you see the kind of movies they're making now, and it's not a lot of not a lot of what I do.
Talk
So,
about a machine.
yeah, I am. I'm not good with vampires, werewolves, torture porn, Saw, intergalactic, sequels,
Right.
cartoon,
Superheroes.
comic books, and I'm like, yeah. So I'm very lucky to have been able to sort of segue back into acting on stage again, and having such fun roles to do. So I'll still continue to write screenplays. Whether or not they'll get made, I don't know. But if I can write a screenplay, appear in a wonderful play that I want to be on stage in, that's great. So when I'm kind of in my twilight years, that's not the vampire twilight.
No.
Yeah. So no, it's just I'm very, very lucky.
Has coming back here and living here refocused you?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I actually never left. I like to say I'm the schmuck who stayed. I went to New York for 4 years for Saturday Night Live,
Right.
but I had written about last night around that time, and so my screenwriting career took off. I got married at that time, and we started a family, and I just thought, I want to be in the Midwest. I don't want to be out in Encino or Calabasas. I want to be I don't want to be in Hollywood. I want to raise my kids in the Midwest. So I got to stay here. So I actually never really left. So I'm the Midwestern boy. So
How has your acting changed the older you've gotten?
um,
And how do you approach projects?
I think I've been I've eased into it. I'm more comfortable now. Luckily, I've had some really terrific directors, and they just sort of have been helping find the right way to do things. If you have a good director and you just listen and take the direction, you're pretty much home free.
What makes a good director to you?
Boy, I think being a nurturing, caring, loving human being and speaking with truth and not, blowing vast amounts of smoke, colored smoke up your B-bomb.
Yes.
And just,
You can swear we just talked to Bruce Valanche. Are you kidding?
oh my God, jeez, please. No, not even a director blows smoke up your ass, and just leveling with you and telling you the truth, but being nurturing and supportive. That's when you know that they want the best for you and the best for the show, and they believe in you. Then you're comfortable on stage, and to be comfortable and in your skin on stage. And be doing a truthful performance.
Right.
There's nothing.
That's the only way the truth comes out, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yeah. And but like BJ with this version, it was like George and I had said we're not going to look at the movie when he says I don't want to do Walter Matthau, and I'm going, well, I'm not going to try and do Jack Lemmon, and so
Or Art Carney.
or Art Carney for that matter, and it's just finding the Felix within you and George finding the Oscar within him. I mean, Mark Raby's a completely different Oscar than George is, and he's much more high energy, ramped, and anxious, and George was more laconic and laid back and sluggish. It was not sluggish, but sort of slothful, and it worked. I mean, but the affection level was there, and everybody's got to find their own Oscar and their own Felix.
And that's the brilliance about that Neil Simon script. You don't have to see any prior performances. Those words work. You make them work for yourself. You don't have to see anybody else's performance for those words to make sense out of your mouth or, somebody in North Carolina doing the production.
And how do they work for me personally? If this happened to me, if my wife and kids left me, how would I? And that's the way I'm acting on stage. This is how I would. Fortunately, I'm very close to Felix in my own thinking in my own life, that it plays through, because this is the way I'd fall apart if my wife and kids left me.
Because as the humor comes out of it, it's still about two broken men who find salvation in each other.
Oh, absolutely.
That pick each other up. I mean, so as much comedy is in it. There's such a human aspect to The Odd Couple, and that's what makes it go past the decades.
Right, and this was done almost 50 years ago.
I know.
And it is still timely because men have not moved all that far towards enlightenment and sharing their feelings and hurts and pains. They're still not. I mean, there's a couple of people banging drums and, but most guys are not able to get in touch with their emotions any easier than they did in 1964.
That's right. You're really known for your comedy, though, Tim. Do you go by the fact that I hear many comedians say that comedy comes from a place of darkness within inside?
Absolutely. In fact, I just remember all my years at Second City, there used to be a running thing where kids at Second City, actors at Second City, would tell these horrid tales of childhood and family traumas and stuff. And when they get to the end, it'd be like, that's why I'm at Second City. And Del Close, our old director, a piece of work himself, he once said, as improvisers and actors at Second City, we relive our own nightmares and traumas on stage for the amusement of others. And it's a lot to that. When you look at a Richard Pryor, you look at a Lenny Bruce, these are tortured guys, but those guys were almost evangelical in in their efforts to liberate people through their comedy. And you stop and think that the ground broken by Lenny Bruce, Richard Pryor, I mean, paved the way for so much of today's comedy.
So what liberated you? What about comedy liberated you?
I think going into the door at Second City
Wow.
and studying and working with Del Close and Bernie Sahlins, Rich Sheldon Patinkin for 2 years, it just blew the doors off. And I just realized that through comedy, you can really, really, really reach people. And the things that I've worked on have both comedy and drama. I mean, My Bodyguard was the first thing I started out on, and that's a very touching film, but there's also a lot of humor in it. About Last Night, sometimes you go into like a blockbuster, whatever, and it was in the romance section, it was in the drama section, it was in the comedy section. It had all of those elements, and I think if you can get both of those things into, a play or screenplay, you really reach more people because
Absolutely.
you have
Timeless.
yeah. You're either
And they
if you
can connect.
make them laugh, if you can make them cry. Boy, you give them a ride for their.
Absolutely.
I was going to say $6, $12.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
$12.50 now.
$12.50 now.
I actually just interviewed Jeff Garlin
Uh-huh.
from Curb, and you worked on Curb Your
I worked
Enthusiasm.
on Curb, yeah.
What was that experience like? And was that like heaven on earth for an
For an
actor?
improviser?
Yes.
Yeah. Because the people know it, there's no script. You're told kind of what the scene will be. Like we're going to have an investors meeting, and then we'll talk about this, and then we'll talk about your.
Because you're in the restaurant.
Yeah,
park.
I invested in the restaurant, and Larry David had been to my had a pool party, and he saw my little boy, my son, changing his
Big old
swimsuit,
penis.
and he saw him with a large penis, and he starts talking to me about my son's penis, and I get very angry, and so, but all of that is improvised, and in fact, around that time, Jeff had asked me to read his screenplay for I Want Someone to Eat Cheese With.
Yes.
And
Phenomenal.
yes, and I gave
Oh
him.
my God.
I read it, and I said, Jeff, I'm going to give you the most honest notes that I can. You may not like them, and I did, and I gave him a lot of hard stuff and a lot of hard notes, and he absolutely said, you're right, I need to do this. And he did a great job of going back and rewriting that thing, and he wrote a terrific play.
Absolutely.
Screenplay, yeah. I'm very fond of that film.
So what do you watch on TV now? And do you watch Saturday Night Live? I'm sure you get asked that question.
Yes,
all the
I'm
time.
watching Saturday Night Live again. And I'm also watching Breaking Bad.
Oh my God.
Hugely addicted to Breaking Bad. I worked at Leo Burnett for 7 years. I was at Burnett when I went to Second City to better present my commercials. That's why I took the class at Second City.
Oh,
So
I
I'm
never knew
addicted
that.
to Mad Men. I'm a huge Mad Men junkie. And that was my favorite show. Yeah, and both on AMC. Here comes Richard Knight. Waltzing
Richard.
How are you? How are you?
We're doing hugs and kisses. We're doing a podcast. Richard Knight, director, just came out. Hi, Richard.
I'm so
That's all right.
sorry.
Say hello to the
Thanks
fans.
for crashing our
Hi,
podcast.
Right?
Are we doing a talk back after?
Yeah.
All right, we're doing a talk back,
So
yeah.
sorry.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. He's sensational, isn't he?
Yes.
Great
Mr.
work.
Kazurinsky.
Well,
Thank
And
you.
we just interviewed Bruce Valanche.
Oh, also wonderful.
Yes.
Lots of fun.
Oh, yes. 2 hours of my life.
Mr. Fezziwig.
Mr. Fezziwig.
Did he give you his famous line? his
He gave me a
tagline?
lot of things today.
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did. He on stage on Thursday night. I mean, we've only been working on this for like 25 years, and he goes, "We really put that dick back into Dickens." I'm like, oh, that's so Bruce, right?
Uh-huh. It is.
That
Absolutely.
is great.
It's
yeah.
so Bruce. But then he also, of course, had this beautiful, heartfelt thing that he talked about, a bridge between the gay community and the straight community, and blah blah blah, back and forth. Anyway.
Well, as a director, real quick, while I have you, what do you want the audience to take away from this version that they might not get in the regular Dickens Christmas Carol?
I just love that it's from a gay perspective, and as Bruce said, it's we are more alike than we are unalike.
Right.
And
it's universal.
It's a universal message for all audiences. That's why we came up with the tagline, it's a holiday movie for all of us.
And I'm telling everybody, I love the backstory of Scrooge because it gives him a reason, for his actions. He's not just like thrown into this like manic mood. You know why he becomes the man he does in Scrooge.
Right, and Dickens alludes to that in the original you know, all that kind of
Right.
stuff with
But it
the
gets lost in
father
its
and
interpretation.
exactly, and I really felt, well, here's a way for us to really get into this backstory, and you know.
And if this is successful, can a gay nutcracker be far behind?
Is a gay
I
nutcracker
believe there
ever
already-
far
There
behind?
is a gay nutcracker. Yes, Matthew Bourne.
Yes,
famously
exactly.
went down that road. I want to say a couple decades, and there have been stage versions, gay stage
Oh,
versions
yes.
of a.
Yes.
You know, I think of a much campier
Right.
sort of bent.
And who knew poppers could do time travel?
To travel.
Well,
Oh,
You know,
everybody knew
good
it.
old jungle juice.
we actually originally had the GPS as kind of the time, and I said, wait a minute,
Wait a
we're in
minute.
the 70s. I'm of that age. I
Right,
was like, oh, no,
no.
Papa, come on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And a certain element of the audience gets that, and other people are very clueless, like,
They're
"No,
like,
what are those?"
Right.
And I was like, oh.
I remember the old original ones that you had to like break in
the
half and
local-
put in it.
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
at any rate. So.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And Tim, thank you.
Oh, my-
And congratulations on The Odd Couple.
Ah,
and,
thank you. I'm having a blast.
And what's next for you?
I'm going to write a rom-com, a romantic comedy screenplay, and if something good comes along for the stage, I'll jump at that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you are one of
both.
the nicest, most accessible. I see you at parties and everything, and people come up to you, and you are the most gracious man.
Well, I live here, and you know,
I know, but
everybody's. You know how many people help me on my way on the road? People have been so generous and so kind. You know, that just what goes around comes around. You know, you just you remember all the helping hands you got to get where you got, and you just. You know, you got to pay it back. That's
well,
all.
we're better people in Chicago for you being here.
Yeah. Oh.
And your talent is immense.
Well, thank you
So
much.
thank you.
Thank you. Much obliged.